straight into the roof of the net. Nice one. Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams.
Hi, welcome to Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. On the show today, is the world coming down hard on Russian athletes? And is it getting a little too difficult for them to breathe? Is it Russia against the sporting world now? Are injury concerns making it hard for certain IPL teams to figure out their team combinations? The Indian Premier League is just 2 days away and we start our coverage right here on Firstpost. What are the injury concerns of the franchises and how will it hit them? All of that in just a bit. And the Football World Cup qualifiers are here. Who are the Asian giants and who can possibly create some surprises there? More on that in just a bit. But first, Sports 360. Starting with cricket and the IPL, Rishabh Pant has been appointed captain of the IPL Delhi franchise for the 2024 season. The wicketkeeper batter returned to professional cricket after a 14-month gap, more than a year. Pant was injured in a major car accident in December 2022. IPL franchise Royal Challengers Bangalore, or the RCB, unveiled their new logo and jersey for the 2024 season. The unveiling comes on the backdrop of the franchise's name change. The team will now be called Royal Challengers Bengaluru. IPL captain Faf du Plessis, WPL skipper Smriti Mandhana and star batter Virat Kohli were present for the unveiling. Spanish football club Osasuna has denied allegations of racist insults during the match against Real Madrid. Real alleged that Osasuna fans made racist comments targeting Vinicius Jr. The team statement said Real's accusations are tarnishing the legacy of their fans who are known to be anti-racist. Staying with football, Japan has warned football fans not to travel to North Korea for the World Cup qualifier on the 26th of March. The two countries have shared hostile relations since the 1970s. Tokyo urges its nationals against attending the match due to the strained ties. This is going to be the first match between the two countries since 2011. Over in tennis, India's Sumit Nagal failed to qualify for the main draw at the Miami Open 2024. He lost the final qualifying round to Hong Kong's Coleman Wong. Nagal won the first set 6-3, but then lost the next two 1-6, 5-7. This was the first time Nagal was playing the Miami Open qualifiers. And former Belarusian hockey player Konstantin Kolstov dies in Florida. Kolstov, 42, was currently coaching in the Continental Hockey League, or the KHL. Police said the death was an apparent suicide and no foul play has been suspected. Kolstov was dating women's world number 2 in tennis, Arina Sabalenka. The Indian Premier League is around the corner and the World Cup is right after. So the biggest question is which key players will be fit enough to last the rigorous phase, because some very, very key performers for the various franchises are either absent already or unavailable for a certain period of time. How will their absence affect the balance of the sides and how will their comebacks be? Let's go over the biggest names to be hit with injury concerns. The team that is topping that list is Chennai Super Kings. They have 3 players who were match winners for them in the last season, ruled out with injuries. It's a massive blow if you just look at the colossal contributions these 3 have made. One, an opener, the other a finisher, and the third, their death bowler. 3 absolutely key roles in a T20 game. Devon Conway was a component for them in their title-winning run. He, along with Ruturaj Gaikwad, forged a very strong partnership at the top of the order. They piled on the pressure with the bat, and that resulted in a lot of their wins. Devon Conway has injured his thumb. He picked that up during the T20 series against Australia and will not be in action through May, is what we hear. So he may come back maybe in the second stage of the tournament. But if Rachin Ravindra, his teammate from the national side, were to step in as replacement and gets going from the word go, will MS Dhoni be still tempted to make that change when Devon Conway is fit? He doesn't like rattling 11 through a tournament. Then, of course, there is Shivam Dube. A topsy-turvy ride for him in the yellow jersey, but managed to repose the faith that his skipper had kept on him by doing the heavy lifting last year with the bat in particular. He was instrumental in giving their total the impetus that they desperately needed lower down the order. Dubey's injury is a side strain that he sustained during the domestic season that he was playing, the Ranji Trophy tournament. The third, and again a critical cog in the workings of CSK, Matisha Patirana, a CSK find. The slingy fast bowler was on fire from the start. A youngster, raw with loads of energy, needed that guidance to sharpen his performance, and he had that, and from the best in the business behind the stumps with MS Dhoni. Who better than MS to nurture the talent? He has sustained a hamstring injury though, and that will leave him away from a few games from what we hear, and a gaping hole in that bowling lineup for sure, especially at the death. Now, speaking of a gap in the bowling lineup, none is bigger than what Mohammad Shami will leave behind. His injury, that seemed like a scare alone, is now more than that. He has been a very, very important presence for the Gujarat Titans in their IPL campaigns, whether it was their title-winning one or when they finished in the final. He, in fact, carried that form right through the World Cup too for India. His absence has prompted the think tank to rope in a senior Indian hand like Umesh Yadav. But can he make magic with Mohit Sharma like Shami did last year for them when they reached the final? And speaking of finalists, the 2022 finalists, Rajasthan Royals, will be without the services of Prasidh Krishna once more, the man who was very, very crucial in their journey to the final. He missed the entire 2023 season, and just when he got back is now again in the pavilion with yet another injury. So not something that the Royals would be too happy about. And then what about Kolkata Knight Riders? Jason Roy pulled out of IPL. He was prolific at the top of the order, and his absence will be a massive dent in that batting lineup. Speaking of players pulling out, Hyderabad invested a whole lot of money in someone like Harry Brook, only for the promising youngster to pull out because of family concerns. Of course, it's important to tend to personal issues, but maybe this absence could be a lesser headache for the Hyderabad franchise. That is one less foreigner to worry about, with a busload of them in the ranks already vying for a spot in the playing 11. And we round off the injury list with the most swashbuckling one. He'll be waiting to unleash his power and theatrics on the hapless bowlers, but we'll have to wait a little longer to do that. Suryakumar Yadav has been fabulous with the bat, and with the clearance from NCA still yet to come in, the wait is definitely frustrating. But he will be seen soon enough for the Mumbai Indians franchise. The Mumbai Indians have a few other injury concerns, but maybe it won't upset the apple cart too much, both in the bowling department. The quest to be the best is here, and it's a storm that's raging. Will the Lions script a dramatic win? Will the prodigal sons return, rock the boat, or lead it to shore? Will the men follow the women to say "E Sala Cup Namdu" in 2024? Will it be a new team that'll lay its hands on the golden trophy, or will the experienced smile their way to victory? Well, the biggest league in the world is here, and Firstpost will get you all the analysis, the big names, fantasy picks, and all the buzz in our special coverage, T20 Summer Storm. Bring it on. FIFA World Cup 2026, football's biggest carnival, is still 2 years away, but the preparations are already underway. For some countries, it started right after the conclusion of the 2022 World Cup, because who doesn't want to be part of arguably the biggest sporting event? The World Cup qualifiers are here, while the host nations, Canada, Mexico, and the United States, who are already through, are busy preparing for it. The other confederations are doing everything possible to qualify and make it. And since the 2026 tournament will be the first edition to include 48 teams, expanding it from the original 32-team format, there are more spots available. All the 6 confederations and already competitive AFC had a total of 46 teams, and out of those, 10 countries have been eliminated. The remaining 36 are now competing for the 8 direct slots that are available. So the competition is not going to be any less intense. The recently concluded Asian Cup was proof that it won't be easy for any team. Japan, Iran, Korea, Australia, Qatar, Saudi, Iraq. All the big guns will face stiff competition from the likes of UAE, Jordan, Malaysia, India, Kuwait, Syria, and Palestine. One of the biggest contenders from Asia will be Qatar. Qatar not only hosted the 2022 World Cup, but put a solid display, and they are the current Asian Cup champions too. They haven't lost in the qualifiers just yet, which makes them the biggest contenders in that group. But who will join Qatar from Group A? There is a stiff competition between India and Kuwait. The two sides have each played 2 games each. Both the sides have lost against Qatar, while India won their encounter against Kuwait. And Kuwait won that game against Afghanistan. India, clearly the better ranked side here, and having won against Kuwait, could be the second team to join Qatar in the next round. India may have had a poor run in the AFC Asian Cup, but the country is clearly preparing well for their encounter against Afghanistan. The players are putting in the hard yards and the spirit is high to keep that World Cup dream alive, but that isn't their only focus.
If we succeed in winning the second spot in our group, we immediately qualify for the next Asian Cup, which is 3rd consecutive time. We immediately make sure that we get 10 more games in the 3rd round of the World Cup qualifiers. Massive games. 5 of them will be at home with the top Asian teams. And that's something which will give us opportunity to have enormous growth as a team. And there is a chance, obviously. So let's live for it. That's what I'm looking for.
So clearly India is taking it one step at a time, but if they go to the next round, the challenge gets that much more difficult. Japan have always been one of the biggest teams from the Asian subcontinent, but their quarterfinal exit from the Asian Cup was quite the shocker. The team will be looking to leave all of that behind and focus on the road ahead. They will be banking on their star player, Hunya Into. And with them already top in the Group B, they will be hoping to book that spot in the World Cup. But a big roadblock awaits them in the form of Syria. Yes, feisty, never say die Syria. The team put up a brilliant show in the Asian Cup and will be looking to continue their form in the qualifiers too. If all goes well, they would be the second team from the group to qualify. Over in Group C, the favourites are, no doubt, South Korea. But they were also the favourites in the Asian Cup, which they failed to live up to. South Korea's Asian Cup exit in the semi-final came as a shocker to many. And then, of course, the world got to know why some days later. A brawl in the dressing room a day before the semi-final. The fight between Captain Son Heung-min and the younger players drew a lot of attention. And if Korea wants to keep their World Cup hopes alive, they will have to put that horrific episode to the side and work together to play as one. But with so many star players in the team, Korea should be comfortably poised for at least qualifying for the next round. Another team to watch out for will be Iran. The AFC Asian Cup semi-finalists might have had a heartbreaking exit, but you can never count the Iranis out when it comes to performing at the biggest stage. The team put a brilliant display before their defeat to Qatar in the semi-finals. They went down fighting, a close 2-3 loss, but so much to take away from this. Despite their anguish over referee decisions in the Asian Cup, the current form of Group E toppers is surely heartening. There are so many contenders, but only 8 spots available. It's not just about the big guns anymore, because the Asian Cup made us realize there are some top contenders in the fray. I would be banking on teams like, say, Palestine, the country marred by war, still reaching the round of 16 at the Asian Cup, only shows the kind of spirit that their players have. And we also have Jordan, who were the finalists of the AFC Asian Cup. In short, the qualifying round is bound to create a lot of buzz, and we might see a new champion emerge. And if not, at least the prospect of a future champion. The voice against Russia and its athletes is growing louder. Consequences of a very long war. Earlier, the Russian and Belarusian athletes were allowed to participate at the Olympics on the condition that they can do so under neutral flags alone. So no anthems if they won gold, no sense of pride. And after the Paris mayor voiced her concerns over Russian athletes tainting the event and calling for them being barred from the opening day celebrations, the IOC has now made its decision, kind of towing that line, saying that the athletes from Russia and Belarus will not take part in the opening ceremony at Paris. A major blow not just to the athletes but also to Putin and his administration, who Paris holds responsible for the larger crisis sports is facing now.
When Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022, it affected the lives of people in both countries, and a bunch of them happened to be athletes. In every sporting discipline, athletes faced criticism, and in certain events, they were even banned from taking part. Russian and Belarusian players were banned from Wimbledon in 2022. Spring events that were to be hosted by Russia and Ukraine taken away or delayed. There's a general wave of dissent towards Russian and Belarusian athletes that's now emerging. And with the Olympics approaching, the situation that athletes of Russia face is no different. The latest is this: Russian and Belarusian athletes will not be allowed to take part in the opening ceremony at the Paris Olympics. Another nail in the coffin that reads treating Russian and Belarusian athletes as outcasts. The athletes have faced the ire from all quarters. Many expected that the International Olympic Committee, or the IOC, would disallow the Russian and Belarusian athletes' participation, but that wasn't the case. They were allowed to play as neutral athletes. Athletes from both nations won't get the pride of representing their nation. And this inclusion didn't go down too well globally. Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo went a step ahead and even said the Russian and Belarusian athletes shouldn't even come. She said athletes were informed by Putin and his ideologies, and I'm the middle of the din. The IOC has banned the athletes from participating in the Paris Olympics opening ceremony.
AINs will not participate in the parade of delegations teams during the opening ceremony, since they are individual athletes. But an opportunity will be provided to them to experience the event. This is the same scenario that was used for independent Olympic participants at the Olympic Games in Barcelona in 1992 for athletes from the former Yugoslavia. Secondly, a decision regarding the participation of AIN in the closing ceremony in Paris will be taken at a later stage, taking into consideration that not all teams that enter the closing ceremony, but it's more all athletes joining together. Thirdly, during the victory ceremonies, an AIN flag will be flown and the AIN anthem will be played should an AIN athlete win a medal.
Representing your country at the biggest stage is something every athlete aspires to, and that includes being part of the opening ceremony parade. The Russian and Belarusian athletes won't have the privilege to do so. Sure, they'll feature in the tournament, but their laurels will not hold similar significance. But that's what war does, affects the whole nation that is involved. And this was bound to bring a statement from Russia.
The
IOC's decisions are illegitimate, unfair and unacceptable. We are outraged by the unprecedented discriminatory conditions imposed by the International Olympic Committee on the Russian athletes who compete in an individual so-called nuclear status, who are essentially forced to renounce any association with their homeland, their citizenship, their history, culture, their people.
We get that Russia is livid, but was this a discriminatory stance by the IOC? Or was it a right step given the magnitude of the war and the impact a statement can make on a global stage?
Well, time for last serve. Now, what is an Indian visit for the first time called for? It could be sampling the street food, the beautiful beaches, or of course going for hikes along stunning mountain ranges. But what does this boxing legend do when he decides to visit India for the first time? He decides to seek in blessings by visiting the famous temple here in the country. Thank you so much for watching First Sports here. I'll see you again tomorrow. Till then, take care.